Hello everyone and welcome to this MACS webinar about inspections with Maximo and the work centers. So the inspections functionality within Maximo comes basically with two work centers. One is called Manage Inspection Forms and one is called Conduct an Inspection. Conduct an Inspection I will talk about later. Let's first start and talk about Manage Inspection Forms. So here you can see the two work centers which are basically the functionality of inspections in Maximo. And as said, let's start with Manage Inspection Forms. When the work center has been opened, you can see that this work center is the work center where all the inspection forms that have been created already are based in the library, and also the work center where you create new inspection forms, and we can also make inspection form revisions. So let's just start and click on the Create Form button and see how the functionality brings us to creating a new inspection form. So on the screen of the creation of a new inspection form, you can see a couple of things. Of course, on the left-hand corner in the top left corner, you can see that of course you can give the inspection form description, a name. So in this case, overhead crane inspection, and you can really see that this is a mandatory field. Then if we go to the right, you can select a inspection form type. So this could be an inspection in this case, but could also be an audit. You can choose different types there. You have the form instructions. A little bit more about that in a minute. And you can see, of course, the inspection form status and also the revision number of the inspection form. So when it comes to the form instructions, it will give you the possibility to add some instructions to the inspection form. So those instructions will be made visible to the inspector before he will start with the inspection itself. And you can see an example of it below here. So here, this example, I've just used a couple of things because it's a free text field, but you have some layout and styling options. So you can use bold text, you can use italic or underline some text, you can use some colors. You can really make it a very informational text with a lot of colors used so that the important information can be read by the inspector. So once you're done with the instruction, you can just click on Save and you will proceed with adding questions. And adding questions to the inspection form, that's what really builds the inspection form, of course, and that's where the inspection form is all about. So let's just proceed and go ahead with adding questions to this inspection form. When you click on Add Question, you will get this this dialog basically where you can choose from the different response fields that are possible. So we can see it on the left here. You can see you have date entry, and under date entry you can choose to choose for date only, date time, or time only. You can choose for asset data, where it's basically about meter readings. You can choose for media, where you can choose to select file upload. So the inspector needs to create or make a photo or add a certain attachment. And also nowadays you can choose there to add a signature option to the inspection form. You have also numeric entries, selectable responses, and also text entries. So that will be free text entry, which you can use in the inspection form. Now on the screen you will see the single choice option, where you can add multiple single choices, but in this case I have only one. One is called, with option 1 is called OK, and option 2 is not OK. And you can choose some different actions also per option. In this case, for option 2, I have set require action to yes. That means that you are able basically to use different actions when the second option is chosen. For example, that a follow-up work order needs to be created once this option has been chosen. Once you're done with setting up the question, and of course the question starts with the description of the question, once you're done with filling everything in, you can click Done and you will proceed to the next question, basically. So once one question has been saved, you can see that you have a couple of options on the right. Of course, you can fill in also some instructions per question, so that's possible. You can delete the question, or you can choose this button to duplicate the question, because if a lot of questions are using the same layout as the one we just saw, you can just duplicate that one. And with the pencil icon, you can just always go into the question back again and change some things that you want to change. So let's just choose one of the different other response fields and add, for example, this one for meter readings also to the inspection form. Just for the example, now I've chosen meter readings. I can fill in the question description as enter the meter readings. And below here, you just choose the different meters that you want to add to the inspection form, that you want the inspector to be able to fill in those meter readings. So the first one I've chosen is the oil color, which is a characteristic meter. So he just has to choose the different, the appropriate oil color basically. And you can also, of course, add the run hours meter so that the inspector needs to fill in the run hours. So once, and I'm taking a couple of steps now in one, so that we can see that some other options are possible in the inspection form. So when I have all the questions together, I have also the ability to group those questions into groups. So you can see that the first questions, I've grouped them into the group general. You can see that I've grouped the meter readings question into the meter readings group, and also the photo group and the date and time group are created. So you can just select by using checkboxes, select the questions, and then choose create groups here, and then you are able to group the questions that you've just created. Once you are done with the inspection form and you have saved it, you will get back to the basically the revision history screen, where you can see in this case the first one that we've created. And you even have some other options here. And one is related to the require action option I told about by adding the first question to the inspection form. So let me show this one. Click on this icon. And there you can see that you get into the form settings. And that's really great that you can use automation scripts in the inspection forms. So in this case, I'm using and showing a out-of-the-box automation script, which is basically creating follow-up work orders when this action is applied to a certain question. So in this case, I'm just using and saying to the form settings that I want to use this automation script when I select a certain require action option in one of the questions. So that's really what I wanted to show you about how you can set the inspection forms up, so how you can create them and how you can fill all the questions and all the settings that you have there. And let's now take a look at some how you can basically some functionalities which are in Maximo itself, so not in the work centers, but functionalities that are in Maximo itself. And I will show a couple of those today. And the first one is associate inspection forms to asset and or locations. So you can see that now I just have the Maximo look and feel. So I'm not in a work center, I'm in the assets application. And once I am on the list view of the assets application and I've filtered the assets that I want, in this case, all my assets that have something to do with overhead cranes, I can just select the assets I want and then go into the action menu and select the associate inspection form action. And once I select this action, this dialog will come up, and there I can really associate an inspection form with or to those assets. So once I click on the magnifying glass, you can see that I get an overview of all the inspection forms that I have present in my environment at this moment, and I can just select the appropriate one for those assets. And so in this case, I'm clicking on the 1044, and then the 1044 has been added or filled in, actually selected, and then once I click OK, this inspection form will be associated to those assets. Well, you get that back here as a sort of notification on the top in green that you can see that this inspection form has been added to the selected records, and this just makes it possible to make it easier so that you can easily find this inspection form when you are looking for the inspection form and are looking for it from one of those assets, for example. Or if you're looking from a work order and you want to do an unscheduled inspection, that you can quickly find this inspection form because it has been associated to those assets. So one other functionality which is in the layout of Maximo, so not in the work centers, which is in the Maximo user interface, is the creation of an unscheduled inspection. So of course you can create sort of planned inspections by using job plans or preventive maintenance schedules, but it's always possible also to create an unscheduled inspection, and I want to show this one right now. So again, when I'm in the assets list view and I've selected the same two assets I just did in the previous example, I can just again go into the action menu and go to create, and under create I will see the option or the action unscheduled inspection. So once I click on this, I will get this dialog, and this dialog will give me the possibility, of course, to search for the inspection form that I want to select. I can fill in or define the due date of the inspection. So then I can just select a date. In this case, I've selected the 22nd of February. And once I've selected this and I click OK, the inspections are really created. The unscheduled inspections are really created for those two assets. And we will see also the result of that. And so once I go to the Conduct an Inspection Work Center, you can really see the two inspection results, basically, that's how it's called, that are created because I created those unscheduled inspections in the assets application. You can also see that you have the possibility to create an unscheduled inspection directly from the work center, but as shown now, I did it from the assets application, and those two are basically the result of it. Conducting the inspections itself, I will show later in the presentation. One other functionality that the inspections functionality has within Maximo is that it can be used in a route. So you can really use routes in combination with inspection forms, and that's really what I want to show in a couple next slides. So here I think all of you are familiar with it. Here we can see the routes application, and I have again used my overhead cranes example and also use my overhead cranes inspection route to show this functionality. So you can basically see that this is just a simple route with chosen to create entries in the work order's multi-asset location and CI table. And I've just selected 4 of the overhead cranes below here. And now I also have the ability behind here to select the appropriate inspection form in the inspection form column. So let's just take a look at that. So this dialog will come up, and here you can also directly see that in the recommended forms section, the 1044 inspection form is basically separately from all the other inspection forms. And this is because of the association of this inspection form to those assets. Because Maximo knows that 2 of those assets are in this route, and I can really see now that this inspection form is recommended for me to use because it's associated to those assets. So I'm just selecting this inspection form, and then once I've saved the route, I will go to the, for example, to the work order tracking application. I have this work order here, which is called overhead crane inspection, and the only thing I need to do then is to apply the route to the work order. And so I'm in the action menu, and I will click apply route, and then the route with the inspection forms associated to it will be applied to the work order. So here I'm selecting the route. And here you can see that the route has been applied, and in the multiple assets location and CIs, the multi-asset lucky section of the work order, you can see that 4 separate inspection results are now created per asset. So this is what really the functionality does when it's been applied to the work order itself. So this is how it looks then on the work order itself. And here you can really see the example of how it looks in the Conduct an Inspection Work Center. So you can see that 4 separate inspection results are created, and you can even conduct those inspections in a batch view so that you can basically conduct all 4 of them in one go. I will also show this later on. But here you can see the result of applying the route to the work order. You can see all 4 of the inspection results with basically all the 4 assets that I've selected in the route. So, and I also want to show today some additional inspection form capabilities. So let's just take a look at those. So one additional functionality that you get with the inspections is by using it on a job plan, as I also said earlier. And so on the job plan, you can see all the familiar fields and sections, but you have now this inspection form field added to the job plan application. And in the job plan application, you can just select the appropriate inspection form. In this case, it's a job plan for pumps. And you can see that I've selected the inspection form for pump inspections. So, and once you will apply this job plan to a work order or use the job plan in a preventive maintenance schedule, also when the work order is created, of course, a inspection result will be created directly with it. So this is really great functionality to make it easier to be able to create inspection results directly when creating a work order. And here you can see that it's also possible to link a inspection form directly to a work order. So also on the work order tracking screen, you have now the ability to select an inspection form, and once you have selected the inspection form and you will save the work order record, it will also directly create an inspection result, as we can see below here. So the inspection form is selected, and below here, after the save action, you can see that also the inspection result was created. Another option would be that in the work order application, once a inspection form has been linked and also an inspection result has been created, you can enter inspection results directly from the action menu. So by clicking the Enter Inspection Results action, as you can see below here, it will open basically the Conduct an Inspection work center, and you can directly fill in the inspection form which is associated to this work order at this moment. Another example of an additional functionality in Maximo would be the Inspections tab in the View Work Details dialog, which we can find in multiple places in Maximo, but also in the Assets application. And once you open the dialog, we are used to already to the Work, Preventive Maintenance, Routes, Collections tabs, but now we have the Inspections tab also here, and there you can really see the completed but also ongoing inspections for this particular asset, for example. And you can see you can jump over directly to the Conduct an Inspection Work Center by going via the arrow here and just clicking on the action, and that will bring you directly in a new tab to the Conduct an Inspection Work Center. So now we are at the point of conducting a single inspection. So I've shown how you can set up an inspection form by using the Manage Inspection Forms Work Center. I've shown the additional functionalities and also the abilities of creating inspection results. And let's now just take a look at how we can conduct a single inspection and how that looks. So here you can see that I'm opening the work center from let's say an inspector or technician kind of role, and I'm just opening the Conduct Inspection Work Center here. Once I go ahead, I will see all the inspections that are pending at this moment. I can also click on In Progress and on Completed to see all the in progress inspections and also the completed inspections. And I even have this All button to just view all of them. And you can see that now I will start with this inspection that have been created already earlier. And you can see that also you have a little checkbox here. So you can also choose to select some of the inspections together, and then you are basically in one go conducting all those inspections after each other. So, but first let's just open this one and take a look at how the Conduct an Inspection Work Center looks like. So this first screen that we see is really the inspection form instructions part that I showed in the very beginning of this presentation. So this is really the place where the instructions are shown to the inspector, and so that he can take notice of all the important information of this inspection, or before this inspection actually. And after taking notice of this instructions, he can just click on the start button below to start with the inspection itself. So once clicking start, once he clicks start button, he will see he or she will see the open inspection form, and will see all the questions and groups that he needs to go by and fill out. So you can see here that in the general group I have a couple of questions, as we saw before, of course, 4 of them, and by using colors it makes it easier for the inspector to view the ones that have been already completed. You can also see it on the back side of the question itself, on the right side basically, where there is this nice icon and this green color, so that you know that everything has been completed in this group basically. You can also see it on the left side here. There you have a quick summary basically of the whole inspection form. So here you can open those groups and you can see the questions individually, but you also can close the group, and then you have a nice clear overview of the whole inspection form basically. And you have this nice progress bar below here, where you can see all the required questions basically, and how many of them you already have completed. You can also see that once I've selected not OK as an option in the second question for this one, you can see that this icon would be there with the text: a follow-up work order will be created to fix any break problems. So this was that one option when I was creating the inspection form, where I said this action needs to, of this question needs to require a follow-up action basically when the not OK answer, when the second option has been selected. And that's really where that automation script is coming in, for creating a follow-up work order when this answer has been selected. We will see that in a bit. One additional thing I want to say on this screen, of course, is that because it's a work center, you can use it also perfectly on a mobile device. So once it's easier for the person that is conducting this inspection, you can really use it on I would say a smartphone would be possible, but primarily it would be better to use it on maybe on a tablet, because it would be made it a little bit more visible. But you can use it on a mobile device, and that really makes it very easy to use this kind of functionality in the field. So once I'm going through the inspection form, you also see the other options. In this case, the second group was called meter readings. And here I have basically the 2 meters that I already talked about earlier. So the oil color meter and also the run hours meter. You can see that with the characteristic meter, you just get the options of the characteristic meter. In this case, the 6 colors that you can select for the oil color. And I've just selected clear now. And in the run hours meter, I just filled in the value that I read of the meter. So, and you can also already see the other 2 groups, so the photo group and the date and time group, where I have the option to add an attachment. So let's go ahead. And here you can see really that because I'm doing it now on a desktop device, you can see that I can select a picture from my Windows Explorer basically. But of course, when you're on a mobile device with a camera, you can just select the option to create a photo, or even to create a video to add to this inspection form. But in this case, I've just selected a picture from my Windows Explorer. Well, you can see that the picture has been added to the inspection form, and I'm now already at the last question of this inspection form basically, and that's just filling in the exact date and time of this inspection. And so that's just by making it a little bit more easier. You can use those dialog boxes to fill in the data that you need to fill in, so the exact date and time of the inspection. Here I have filled in the values of the date and the time. And once I've filled in everything, you can see that I can just click on the complete button below here, and I will go to the next step of the inspection. And the last step of this inspection would be, at this case, that I still have some actions left to do, because I have answered some of the questions with not okay, for example, and that's just bringing me to the follow-up actions that needs to be executed, because in this case some follow-up work orders will be created for the questions that I've answered in such a way where that action is required. So I can just click on the batch actions button, and once I clicked on the batch actions button and created work orders for the items that required that, you can see that the action was executed and that the work orders really are also created. So you created the work order 1502, and also on work order 1502 with task 10, also again for another question, there was a task added to the work order. So we basically have created a follow-up work order with a task to get someone to take a look at those questions that were answered with not okay in this case. And here you can see it again that this is what has been done by the inspection form by executing those actions that still were open in the inspection form at this moment. And once I'm really done and shown all the information and view all the information that I needed to view, I can just click on exit and go back to my inspection form overview. So compared to conducting a single inspection, it's also possible, as I also said earlier, to conduct a batch of inspections. And I quickly want to show you guys how you can conduct a batch of inspections and how that will show a little bit differently from what we just saw. So in this case, I've created a batch of inspections, and by clicking on this wrench, you can also see that which work order is related to this batch. So you can always see the related work order to that inspection result. And by just clicking on this inspection, I will show how it looks when you are conducting a batch of inspections. So just with the single inspection, you just get this overview of all the assets you are conducting this inspection for, and in this case it are 4 assets because it's a batch. And you also get, of course, the instruction we also saw in the other one. And once you have taken notice of all of this, you can just click on Start Batch. And of course, the form is looking similar to the other one. It's basically looking the same. The difference here is, of course, that now everything is shown per asset. So you can see there is basically another level for every asset. So in this case, you can see that overhead crane 2 is shown on the top, but you also can already see that overhead crane is shown after the 4 groups that I first need to go through, and then I can go ahead with the second asset of this batch. So you can really do 4 of the assets in this case in one go. And this is of course also related to the route functionality I showed earlier, so that you can really apply a route to a work order, create a batch of inspections, and this is the way how you can conduct that batch of inspections in one go. And once you have completed all the inspections in that batch, you in the end you still get this this actions dialog, basically, where you can create work orders for all the items that are that require follow-up actions or follow-up work orders, because they are answered in such a way. And here you can see that the work orders are all created, and you can just exit the whole batch of inspections. So this is where how the batch of inspections differ from the single inspection. And then as the last part of this webinar, I also want to give you guys some notice of the newest inspection work center functionalities, because of course IBM is adding and developing additional functions in newer versions, and also some newer inspection form or inspection work center functionalities are added in the latest version 7.6.1.2 of Maximo. So here you can see that now it's also possible to use icons and colors. So you can really use icons and colors to make it more visible and more easy for the inspectors to select a certain response. It's just to to make it a little bit more visible at which option they should select. Another thing is that now you also have the ability to use conditional settings in an inspection form, and I will show how this, what those conditional settings basically are. So here you can see that in the conditional settings functionality, you can basically select a certain question and add a condition to a certain question. So in this case, I've said that if the answer is not okay, on the response field, then you can apply a certain condition that, for example, that an extra question or an extra free text field should be visible once the not okay option is selected. So in this case, I say that if the answer is not okay, then an extra response field is been made visible, and it's also required to fill in. So that are the both things that I'm showing here. So you can say then this additional thing is visible and required. And in this case, it's just a free text field where someone needs to give an explanation why they have chosen the not okay answer option. Well, here you can see the newest inspection functionalities I just talked about, and I'm just showing how that could look differently when you are conducting the inspection. So here you can see the different icons and colors that can be used. So here you can also see that once you select one of the answers, it will come up green still, but also the icons are still shown afterwards when you have selected the answer. Again, you can see here the combination of the colors and icons, but also the extra text field that has been made visible and required when selecting the not okay option. So this was really the result of setting those conditional settings I just showed a couple of slides ago. And by selecting not okay, you can see that not only a follow-up work order will be created in the end, but also you have to give an explanation why you have chosen the not okay answer choice. So this is really where, really good when you can make those kinds of conditional settings and conditional options in the inspection form itself, so that you can really tailor the inspection form and get as much information as possible out of those inspections. Yeah, so that's concluding this webinar. I want to thank you all for your attention during this webinar. Of course, it's still possible to ask questions via the chat. So I can see there is a question here in the chat. So many thanks for this great presentation. Well, thank you, no problem. We like to do this kind of sessions and help you guys with that. Let's see, the same options of the inspection work centers are available in the mobile part. So I think the mobile functionality or the mobile app that's referring this question to would be Maximo Mobile. So I can say at this point that within Maximo Mobile for EAM, which is the Maximo Mobile version for Maximo 7612, and also for Maximo Mobile in 8.0 version, so in the application suite version of Maximo, indeed, those functionalities are available that we have shown today. So setting up those questions and forms are still done in the same way by using the work centers, but you can leverage those functionalities in the Maximo application, in the Maximo Mobile for EAM and the Maximo Mobile apps, just to conduct inspections using the mobile app. So that's luckily that's available and possible. So the next session will be around planning and scheduling with IBM Maximo. It's not about Maximo Scheduler only. We're also going to show another add-on which we have. So you can go there and just sign up for the next session. And well, I don't see any additional questions coming up. So then I would thank you all again for your attention today. We really look forward to seeing you next time. And I also want to wish you all a very nice day. Thank you.